Question 6. What have you learnt about technologies from the process of constructing this product? The main tool I used was Adobe Photoshop. For editing all three, I used Photoshop. I mostly learnt about layering, which I'd never used before, which was extremely useful. I also learnt about things such as spot removers. As you can see here, I used a cookie cutter for the backdrop of the article heading. It also meant that I could edit all the background image and then use other softwares for the text itself. I used Publisher mostly for the double-page spread article, as it allowed me to use different fonts. It also allowed me to shape around the rest of the image much better than had I have used Photoshop to do so. It also allowed me to shape them properly and print them off in a correct scale as well. I used Word for two things. For my questionnaire, it allowed me to lay it out properly. I also used it for writing my DPS article. I learned that it's a lot easier to lay it out with Word rather than trying to copy and paste it into another software. It's just much easier to lay it out with Word. I used Excel for my graphs, specifically for my market research. It allowed me to visualize the questions and answers and responses I'd had with them. So for my results, I was able to visually see all of it, and it allowed me to better understand what I need to use for my final product. I used PowerPoint and Slideboom all the time for my presentations. I learned that with PowerPoint it's very easy to professionally lay out a lot of my presentations, and with Slideboom it's essential for embedding into Weebly itself. They're both quite similar in their layouts, which I didn't know before as well. I used Prezi for more of a moving concept. It's a lot more kinetic and more interesting in many ways. It allows you to almost walk along as you're presenting it. I also use Powtoons for a slightly more interesting alternative to Word, which I'd never used before, and the same with Amaze as well. It allowed me to have some form of diversity, which I'd never used before, as opposed to doing all my presentations on PowerPoint and Slideboom. And also, they taught me how to embed through to Weebly as well. I'd never used Weebly before. It showed me how to create a free website of my own and also it allowed me to create different parts of my website without having to create an entirely new website. It also taught me how to embed things as well. And I also learnt about cameras as well. I'd never really used a proper camera before. I'd only ever used my phone, which I tried out for my original images, and I realised the picture quality was quite poor. So for the most part I used my own Nikon D90 at home. It allowed me to zoom in, it taught me about aperture and shutter speed, which allowed me to take far better and superior quality photos. Whereas with my iPhone, when I tried taking it before, they were very blurry and very low quality. I did still use my iPhone camera though for taking pictures of a concert I was at, because the quality was not essential and it was from far away, and the image itself was very small, so the pixels weren't a problem either. I also learned about alternating between Macs and PCs as well. I learned that it's a lot easier to transfer using JPEGs and PNGs because it's a universal concept. Also, using the website-based softwares such as Powtoons and Amaze, etc., it's far easier for conversing between both Macs and PC because I don't need to worry about compatibility. Although it did also teach me that to convert from PowerPoint to Keynote when alternating between Macs and PCs. And that's